Okay, but then again, I'm not sure Jalen Hurts is the most valuable member of the Philadelphia Eagles organization. The most valuable, I can't believe I'm saying this, it has to be the Jewish guy from Brooklyn who didn't even play high school football. That guy? Yeah. That guy now just dominates the National Football League, just owns it. That guy's name is Howie Roseman. He's the reason, the biggest reason, that back in August, I picked the freaking Philadelphia Eagles. I hate the Eagles. I picked them to win it all, to win this year's Super Bowl. I believe that Howie Roseman had the greatest offseason any GM has ever had in the history of the league. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Cowboys GM Jerry Jones, all in Jerry Jones, was all out of luck, out of excuses, and finally out of credibility. Jerry just fiddled around through the offseason while his Rome continued to burn. Jerry builds through the draft. Jerry doesn't really believe in plunging in free agency the way he once plunged out in the oil fields. Jerry Jones signed one free agent of note through last offseason. That was linebacker Eric Kendricks. 1 year, $3 million. Eric Kendricks. He wasn't bad. He was just Eric Kendricks. Yet, after Howie Roseman's Eagles collapsed down the stretch, that was last year. Remember, they lost 6 of their last 7 after they started 10-1. Howie Roseman said basically to the NFL, watch this. You want to talk about all in? Whew. So he goes out, did Howie Roseman, and he steals Saquon, 3 years, $38 million. Only $14.6 million did he pay Saquon this season that we're still in. Only 14.6. That's a steal. I mean, Saquon had arguably, let's throw on the playoffs, arguably is the greatest year any running backs ever had in the history of the NFL. Obviously, he was poised to break the great Eric Dickerson's record if he had played the last game, and they all opted out of it because it was just too risky. They had nothing to play for except those stats, that number, and he didn't make a run at it. Fine. I wanted him to because I thought he'd earned the right to. But still, he's come right back in the playoffs, gangbusters, busting run after big run, such as the first down run, the first play of the game for the Eagles offense. House. Whew. What a steal for Howie Roseman, first team All-Pro, Saquon Barkley. And then Howie Roseman went out very quietly under radar, and he signed Zach Bond 1 year for $1.6 million. Zach Bond, first team All-Pro linebacker. Sunday against Washington, he led the Eagles with 12 tackles. Another way off radar move, Oren Burks from my school, Vanderbilt University. He did Howie in the offseason for $1.5 million. So he got Zach Bond and Oren Burks for about the same amount of money that Jerry went after and landed his one free agent of the offseason with, Eric Kendricks, for $3 million. 1.6 for Bond, 1.5 for Oren Burks. Oren Burks is playing his tail off in place of Nakobe Dean. Oren Burks was second on the Eagles Sunday against Washington with 9 tackles and a sack. Whew. That was a genius move, a little genius move. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I've always loved him. I rave about him. He just makes big plays in big games at the safety position. He was all over the field on Sunday. Howie brought him back to Philadelphia. Way to go, Howie. Just brilliant. And then Mekhi Becton got him 1 year, just 1 year for $2.8 million. Just a brilliant move because that was the final piece to turning his offensive line into the best line. You could plug in Mekhi at left guard, the best line in pro football. I mean, Mekhi Becton once went 11th overall in the draft back in 2020, 11th overall in Jalen Hurts draft. Whew. I actually thought Devin White was a genius move by Howie. Devin White, of course, linebacker that I loved when he was with the Bucs. I don't know what happened. He's just, I don't know. He just didn't make it there. They released him in October, but I loved the move at the time. I thought he was worth the gamble at a steal of a deal. And I did like replacing Hassan Reddick with the Jets' Bryce Huff, as they sort of traded places, but this was a big ticket item, 3 years for 51 for Huff. And his 10 sacks with the Jets a year back were just 2.5 for the Eagles, so he appears to have fallen out of favor. Yet the Eagles still have, as I keep banging the table and saying, they have the NFL's best defense, in large part because Howie Roseman then went out in the draft and landed the two best corners in the draft, and they can both play. Quinyon Mitchell already, he's a top 5 corner. There are times I think he's the top 1 corner in the league. That's how good he is as a rookie. And Cooper DeJean just keeps making plays all over the field as the first white starting corner since, I don't know, since Jason Sehorn, who retired back in 2003. Cooper DeJean, he's even returning punts. He's got some burst to him. Not afraid. Those two kids have solidified the back end of that defense and turned it into the best in the National Football League. Meanwhile, Jerry drafted Tyler Guyton out of the school I grew up loving, University of Oklahoma. And I said, I don't know. Tyler Guyton in and out of the lineup at left tackle this year, sometimes because of injury and more often because of performance inability. I said on draft night, Tyler Guyton, he's a project at best. He's huge. I think he's 6'8". I did see some little flashes here and there from him, but still, I don't know. I saw a flash here or there from their second-round pick, Marshawn Nealand, at defensive end. But now think about this. Howie Roseman's top 2 picks are 2 of the top reasons the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. Holy cowboy. And Howie went out and hired a guy we knew well in Dallas, Kellen Moore, played and coached for the Cowboys. He hired Kellen Moore to coordinate the offense. Bingo. Howie went out and hired Vic Fangio to take over the defense. Jackpot. Jerry Jones kept Mike McCarthy after the Cowboys were down 27-0 before halftime in a home playoff game. He kept Mike McCarthy. All in my ass. So now we're stuck with crazy, kooky, delusional Jerry. But hey, at least Jerry started at offensive guard for a national championship team at Arkansas way back when. I think it's 1965. Howie Roseman couldn't have carried Jerry's jockstrap on a football field, but Howie Roseman is running rings around the rest of the NFL. I'm talking about Super Bowl rings.